And I'm here today to tell you about another one of my favorite trips. This is actually my second time making this video. I've been having to repeat myself a lot lately, but don't worry, you're only seeing the better of the two. Today I want to talk to you about our trip to Disneyland in August of 2012. This trip was me, my three kids. So my son Andrew at the time was 15. My daughter Megan was 7. Is that right, Meg?
I think so.
I think you were 7. And Ben was 4. And this was only my second time visiting Disneyland. The first time was just that one-day trip I talked about in my on my Disney trips video, which was just a one day. And Disney's California Adventure did not exist then. It was just Disneyland Park. And so it was, I didn't remember it really at all. It was all very new to me. And this was also the first trip that I took, you know, like a big trip on an airplane and everything, going far away with my 3 kids by myself. You know, so where I did, you know, me and the 3 kids with no other adult on a plane was kind of a big accomplishment for me. So anyway, this trip was we used some frequent flyer miles or something to get like either a really good deal on airfare. We had 2 tickets free or something like that. And that kind of, something was going to be changing with Delta's points system, I remember at the time. And so we needed to use these tickets by a certain time. And that sort of dictated when we went. We went the very end of August, right into Labor Day weekend. And our schools here usually start that Tuesday after Labor Day. So we needed to get back to school. And I'm pretty sure we left on a Tuesday. I think it was a morning flight. We got there in enough time to go to Disney California Adventure in the afternoon. And then we came back on a red eye on that Saturday, or I think it was Saturday. And so then we had just, you know, Sunday, Monday at home, and then the kids had to go to school. So we stayed at Paradise Pier Hotel, which is an on-site Disney hotel at Disneyland. I liked Paradise Pier very much. We had 2 queen beds and then like one of those couches that turns into a day bed, which is actually a full-size twin bed, which started out the first night. Ben slept there and Megan slept in the queen bed with me, but then the second night and going forward, we switched. Ben slept with me and Megan took the bed by herself. And then Andrew had the other bed. And we had a view of a parking lot. But it was a very nice hotel. We liked, it has a rooftop pool with a slide and everything and really nice lounge chairs and stuff. We went back and swam in the pool in the middle of the day, one day. And we all really liked doing that because it was very, very hot when we were there, unusually hot. And I'll come back to that. But that was kind of a little bit of a mistake because Ben then wanted to do that every day. And we really didn't have time because that really would have cut into our theme park time. So we only did it the once. The only thing about Disneyland in California's on-site hotels is, except for Grand Californian, which is basically in Disney's California Adventure, I mean, you go right out the door and you're in the theme park. They're farther away than some of the off-site hotels that are right across the street from the main entrance. And so we did have to walk quite a ways, which was kind of, you know, just especially at night when you're tired and your feet are hurt, to have to walk back there wasn't that much fun. But that's one thing about, if I go back to Disneyland, I almost think I would stay off-site at one of the places right across the street because they're actually closer and they're cheaper. So we stayed there. So we had half a Tuesday, all day Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday, I don't think we went into the parks at all. I think we just like shopped and stuff in downtown Disney. And then we did not rent a car. We used, it's Disneyland Resort Express. I think it's actually run by Gray Line, but the buses are like all decorated Disney on the side and everything. And it takes you from either LAX or John Wayne airports to Disneyland. And so we used that, and we didn't need a car at all because we didn't leave Disneyland property really. And I know the first day we went to Disney California Adventure and Cars Land had just opened. So that was really fun and cool. And that first day we wanted to go on Radiator Springs Racers, which was awesome. We love that ride. But we did wait in line a long time, like over an hour. And then after that, I think we went 2 more times maybe, but both times we had fast passes, so we didn't have to wait so much. And then I think we alternated. The second day, I think we went to Disneyland, and then we went back to Disney California Adventure, and then I know Friday we were at Disneyland again. I remember that Friday being our best day. Like, it was just the day we enjoyed the most. The heat. It was a very unusually hot week in Southern California. I mean, we get some really hot weather here. It was a dry heat. It wasn't humid. But, it gets really humid here in Wisconsin. But they were not used to it. I mean, I guess they're used to pretty steady temps in Southern California in the LA area. And it was like, it was like 100. And the cast members were having a really hard time. So they were like complaining like, oh my gosh, this is so hot. We solved that problem by doing 3 things, 2 that I would very much recommend and do again. And the third one was, again, I didn't know this. This was before I knew that you could get free water at the Disney parks. You can go into any counter service restaurant and just say, can I have some water? And I know I did that at our Disney World trip 3 years later. I walked into Casey's Corner. I said, can I have an ice water? And they actually gave me a great big ice water, in a cup and everything. And so you can do that at any Disney park. I mean, they don't want you passing out and dying of heat stroke and, getting sick and stuff in their parks. So they want you to have a magical time. So you can get free water. And in fact, some places now I've seen at the Disney parks, there's actually like the coolers set up where you can just go up and get water. So the one mistake we made in our keeping cool is we kept buying bottles of water. And they were like $5 each, and they were heavy. And so we were carrying around all these bottles of water, which we did not need to do, but I didn't know that then. The other thing that we did to cool off was whenever we started to get just really grumpy and we started to get like out of sorts because we were hot and tired, we would just stop and we would find some place in the shade and get a snack and eat something and drink something and sit for a while, and then we were fine. So I feel like if more people did that, if more families especially did that when they go to Disney in the hotter months, they would have a much more enjoyable time. But they're always like rushing, we got to see everything, we got to do everything, we got to get it all in. And they don't take the time to just really sit. There's some very lovely spots at the Disney parks where you can sit, especially by water and stuff, that are really nice. Or go inside a restaurant that has air conditioning or something. And then the third thing that we did to help with the heat was we just kept going on rides that were cool. And rode them over and over. We rode the Little Mermaid ride over and over. That one, I swear we just walked on, didn't we guys?
Yeah.
We just walked right on that thing over and over again. There was like no line. I think I've mentioned this before, but one time when we were getting on, we saw the actress Denise Richards and her 2 little girls getting off right as we were getting on. That was kind of funny. And I commented to the Disney cast member, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Denise Richards. And they played dumb. They're like, oh, is it? Because I suppose in LA they get a lot of celebrities at Disneyland, and they're probably kind of trained not to draw attention to them or whatever. And then we went on Pirates of the Caribbean, I know, a bunch. 7, 8, 9 times. I don't know. We went on it a whole bunch of times. And we also took advantage of going on rides after dark when it would start to cool down. So I remember once it started, the sun would set in the evening. Disney parks are like a totally different thing at night, and it's just a whole nother experience. You really want to see all the lands in the daytime and at night when the lights come on. One place on that trip that I especially found this to be true was in Cars Land. The main street of Cars Land, when all the lights come on at night, is just so neat. And I especially like the Cozy Cone Motel, which Cozy Cone Motel is actually a food service place. Each little cone is a different snack and different drink that you can get. And there's some really neat creative stuff there, and we went there a couple times and got snacks. Some other favorites from that trip, we really liked Flo's Cafe in Cars Land. That's the first place we went to eat for lunch that first day that we got there before we went on Radiator Springs Racers, and the food was so good. And I'm disappointed now because they've changed the menu since then twice, and they've gotten rid of this really awesome food that they used to have, and now it's just kind of boring stuff. The one thing about Disneyland, though, is they don't have as good of dining selection that Disney World does. Disneyland dining can be kind of difficult and challenging. And so I know we had one character meal. We went to the character breakfast with Mickey, and I think Pluto was there. Minnie was there. Stitch, Daisy. Was Minnie there? I don't know. But anyway, this is our family picture with Mickey at, what's that place called? Something with a beach. It's at the Paradise Pier Hotel. You know, it's the on-site character breakfast. I don't think we did any other character meals. And I don't even know that we did any other sit-down meals. Did we?
I don't know.
Yeah, there's not as much choice. If we went back, I really would like to try Carnation Cafe, and I'd like to try the Bayou restaurant in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. The boats actually go right past it. Blue Bayou, I think it might be called. Anyway, oh no, we did. We ate at Cafe Orleans, which is supposed to be just awesome. It's like New Orleans food. I didn't really like it that much. I mean, I got a Monte Cristo and we got beignets and stuff, but I wasn't that impressed. I remember too, we got a World of Color dining package, but what it was it was actually box lunches from Wine Country Trattoria, and we ate them just like out their outside picnic area, and then that gave us supposedly special placement for World of Color. I will tell you something I do not like about World of Color. World of Color apparently is awesome. I really can't say because I couldn't see it. Because World of Color, you are standing. There is a World of Color dessert party now, and if we go back, I'm totally paying for that. Because that's the only place at World of Color you are allowed to sit. And otherwise, everyone is standing. And two things. One, I couldn't see over the people in front of me. Ben couldn't see. I don't think Megan could see. Andrew could probably see because he's tall. But,
Ben sat on Andrew's shoulders.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ben sat on Andrew's shoulders. And so Ben and Andrew could see, but Megan and I couldn't, could we?
Right.
Yeah, Megan and I couldn't, and we actually left.
Yep.
Yeah, Megan and I actually walked out of it and went and found a bench because my feet were killing me and we could not see the show. And so I'm thinking that must have been Thursday, the second time we went to California Adventure. So if you're gonna, I think World of Color is shut down right now because they're changing it. They're changing the show with the whole Pixar Pier revamp and stuff. Some other things, and I think for dining, otherwise everything we ate was like quick service. I don't remember doing anything else special for dining. Some other things I thought of. Another ride that we went on that was really great, we went on a few times, 2 or 3 times, was Grizzly River Rapids. Yeah, it's like the family raft ride up and down with the big grizzly bear on the rock mountain. And that was really fun. We actually brought ponchos, and then we were like, we don't need the ponchos. Let's just get wet because it was so hot and it felt really good. And we actually really enjoyed that. Another thing they have cool at California Adventure, we went on Soarin' a bunch because that was nice and cool and breezy, is that climbing thing. It's like an adventure ropes coursey kind of place with bridges and stuff where your kids can run around. And Doug was in there, and we got to meet Doug.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I will say about Disneyland that I think is better than Disney World, 2 things. Well, 2.5. One is the character interactions are so much easier at Disneyland. At Disneyland, characters are still kind of just out there. You would just like come around and, there's a character. Oh, look, there's Aurora. Oh, look, there's Woody. And you could just like go up to them. The lines would not be very long. And we met a ton of characters. And the kids had their autograph books for that trip, and we got lots and lots of really good character photos and autographs on that trip. It's much easier to have character interactions out and about at Disneyland. As far as meeting characters at Disney World, that's where I would recommend, if you want to do that, you go to character meals, because then you get a whole bunch of characters in one shot and you're not having to stand in humongous lines and stuff. So that's a plus. The other thing that I really like about Disneyland compared to Disney World is there's more rides. Even though there are only 2 parks at Disneyland, I think, if I remember this right, there are actually more rides at Disneyland than in all of Disney World, not counting the water parks. And in Disneyland Original Park itself, they are so packed with rides. It's really dense with rides. I've said this in another video, or it's one that's coming up. I think it's, I don't know, somewhere I said it. That I'm a little concerned about Galaxy's Edge opening at Disneyland because I think it's going to like mess up the park. I don't think that was a good decision for the West Coast park because the pathways are narrower. There's not a good traffic flow. It's already a denser park with rides anyway. And they have been unsuccessful with Anaheim, the city of Anaheim, getting either that, the bridge over the road to connect with a new parking area and security and stuff. And they also were unsuccessful with getting that new 4th on-site hotel built. And so I don't know how they're going to manage that. If we don't go to Disneyland before Galaxy's Edge opens this summer, which the latest guess is it's going to open in June, I'm not going back there for at least 2 or 3 years because I think it's going to be insane. And there are also the 2.5. There are also rides. I mean, this is true both ways, but there are rides at Disneyland that they do not have at Disney World. Now, granted, some of them are versions of the same ride. For example, Radiator Springs Racers is incredibly themed and cool. However, it's the same basic ride system as Test Track at Epcot, if you look at it. The Indiana Jones ride in Disneyland is themed completely different, but it's the exact same ride system as Dinosaur at Animal Kingdom in Florida. The Matterhorn is kind of a unique ride, but it's kind of similar to Expedition Everest.
Yeah.
Kind of the same concept. There's a Yeti up there. It's not the same ride, but it's similar. Did you know that there's a basketball court in the top of the Matterhorn? One of our favorite things, we met the guys. There's climbing guys that climb the Matterhorn like a mountain. You can see them up there. We got a really cool picture. If I can find it, I'll put it in right here. Of the guys who climb the Matterhorn every day, just for fun. And then, but they have a lot of other they still have Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. They still have Snow White's Scary Adventure. They have the Alice in Wonderland ride. They have Pinocchio. They have a different version of Small World, which is kind of neat. We much prefer Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And Space Mountain is way better at Disneyland than Disney World. I won't even go on the one at Disney World anymore. I much prefer the one at Disneyland. It's different. And then you sit side by side for one thing. At Disney World, you're behind each other. And I think the one at Disneyland is smoother and funner. That's not a word, but still. And then Pirates of the Caribbean is better at Disneyland, don't you think? Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean's better. I had not been on Toy Story Midway Mania before until I went at what is now Pixar Pier at Disneyland. My kids got to go on it when we were at Disney World in 2009. And then prior to that, it hadn't been built yet. But that was the day, if you remember my video about our trip. I didn't make a video about that, but it was in all my Disney trips video. I was sick that day and went back to the hotel. It also rained. So my husband was there with the kids at Hollywood Studios that day, and they got to go on it, but I didn't. So I had never actually done that. So in 2012 at Disneyland was the first time I got to go on Toy Story Midway Mania. We went right away in the morning at California Adventure and walked right on. And then other things about rides. I think that's about it. I mean, Disneyland it has its differences from Disney World. Some things that are better, some things that I like Disney World better. If you have younger kids, like lower elementary and below, I would really recommend Disneyland. 2 reasons why. The character interactions are easier and better, and it's more compact. It's 2 parks literally separated by feet. I mean, you can very easily walk from one to the other. They're just across this esplanade. And you can get some really close hotels that you can just walk to very easily, and you don't have to use transportation like you do at Disney World. So it's a much more manageable park for people with young kids, which is why I think we had a very good experience that time, and why Megan and Ben have very fond memories of it and keep saying they kind of want to go back. But Jen LaForge, actually, I'll put a link to her channel. She did a video about who is best for Disneyland or Disney World and Disneyland Paris. And I thought she made some really good points in that video. She was saying for younger kids, Disneyland is better, but when you get older kids like mine are now, that Disney World is better because of the variety and the type of attractions. My son Andrew was 15 at the time we went, and I think he had a good time, but he has absolutely no interest in returning to Disneyland at all. He just says he just likes Disney World better. So take that as you will. But anyway, it was one of my favorite trips. We had a very nice time despite it being hot. We had a lot of fun together, and I was very proud of myself that we did that. I did it on my own with my 3 kids. That was the first time doing something with all 3 of them traveling by plane, and we were successful. And nothing really went wrong. I don't think.
Nope.
No, nothing went wrong. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got lost. Nobody got sick. We just had a really fun time, except for being hot. That was like really the only negative. And my feet hurt. But that's just a thing with, walking around a theme park. So, yeah, another one of my favorite trips ever. I thank you guys for joining me today. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell if you haven't done so already. And there's a few more videos coming up in this series, I think. Nope, just 2 more, I think. And then, yeah, we'll see what happens after that. Still waiting to see what our travel plans are going to be for 2019. So thanks for joining me, guys. Safe travels.